I've always wanted to work as collaboratively as possible to elevate other voices, and that's why my work as a journalist and an artist is not about telling my own story. But at the same time, it's good for people that have direct experience to be a bridge in these areas. And so with all of the theater performances that we do, we're always trying to get a two-pronged audience where we're getting people in the room that are stakeholders that are not directly affected by incarceration, but can affect the policy and the way that our communities are responding to harm that's committed, and people that are directly affected, that there's the power to to bear witness to a story that you can relate to so powerfully on stage, and to have, the atrocities that happen inside our prison system and the incredible courage and love born out of these circumstances are so hidden from the public. And theater is such an amazing way to have something viscerally brought to life. It's almost as powerful can be as going into a prison. If you've never been into a prison, going to one of our shows is what we've been told many times, is that it's such an immersive thing. So I'm always trying to reach those audiences, the privileged and white affluent audiences that don't think that they're affected by mass incarceration, that they think that, oh, that's someone else's problem. It's not my belief. I believe it diminishes all of us. And I think that's part of my desire, is to make that clear, that no one can live in a society that tortures and imprisons people on such a massive scale and not be affected or diminished by it. Our imaginations are diminished. Our ability to love one another and be in community with one another is diminished. And we're all made less safe by the existence of the carceral state. We're put in a position of insecurity and fearing our neighbors, fearing people that are different than us, and believing that by hurting them, we will somehow be stronger or better. And that's just a belief in maintaining your own privilege and power. And look where that's gotten to us. That's gotten us into a place where none of us feel at all hopeful, about the future of our government and our, social institutions. A lot of us are looking outside of those paradigms, but we also need to look inside ourselves as white privileged people, because we've internalized those paradigms.
Yeah, I think I had 80 billion thoughts racing through my head, and I think
yes, let's hear them.
Yeah, so for those who have been listening to this podcast feed, on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, depending on our production schedule, as of late, we've been having conversations about the HBO show, The Last of Us. And, Kala and I have had conversations about what are the things that we want to talk about next? But what you were just talking about is to the Batmans of the world, Batman's origin story in some of the iterations were his rich parents were murdered, leaving a show, right? Or leaving a party, leaving some kind of function, right? And they had the ability to maybe address the mental health issues or the poverty issues the person who mugged them was facing in a given moment, and they didn't do that. And so as I'm thinking about, what is the call to action that you have of white people, privileged folks who encounter your artwork, who encounter your theater? I think part of it is money, right? Reallocation of funds. And this is recalling back to the conversation that I had with Ethan about how are we using the system, using the resources of the system to further liberatory causes, right? I think that's one part. But I think I'm also remembering conversations that I've had with Emmy Aguilar, and this wasn't ever aired on the podcast. This was in a workshop that we did on the difference between land acknowledgement and efforts at land back. But, yes, pay your land taxes to the indigenous folks who are traditional caretaker stewards of the land that you live on. But also the invitation is into relationship, right? building relationships, getting proximity to people who are directly impacted, will help you figure out more authentic ways, more ways that work for you to, one, draw connections to the ways that you are actually impacted, but two, like, we can come up with these solutions together with the resources and ideas and experiences